Most buyers come to me with a suburb already in mind, sometimes two. They've done a weekend drive through, looked at a few listings and landed on Thirroul or Wollongong North or Ostomy, and sometimes they're right. But more often than not, the suburb they've landed on tells me more about where they've been looking than where they should be looking. The problem with anchoring to a suburb name is that names carry noise. So, lifestyle imagery, what a friend said at a dinner party, a weekend visit where the weather was perfect and the coffee was good, none of that is a buying framework. And without a framework, you end up comparing properties within one suburb against each other, instead of asking whether you're in the right suburb to begin with. So before I touch suburb names with any new client, I walk through 4 questions and I want to walk you through them today because they'll tell you more about where you should be searching than any shortlist I could hand you cold. Question 1. What's your primary driver? Lifestyle, access, or value? These aren't mutually exclusive, but usually sits above the others. Lifestyle buyers want beach proximity, a village feel, a specific pace of life. Access buyers need to get to Sydney or Wollongong CBD without any friction. So the right train line, a predictable travel time, and value buyers are optimizing land and long-term capital position relative to what they're paying. So knowing which one sits at the top tells me immediately which end of the Illawarra to focus on. Question 2. What's your actual ceiling? And what does that ceiling generally buy in your target suburb? This is where most buyers discover the search is miscalibrated. You've been looking at Thirroul at 1.3 million, but you haven't checked what 1.3 million actually gets you there. Because the stock is scarce and what comes up is usually a compromised end of the market. So run your ceiling question across 2 or 3 suburbs before you commit to one. What you can buy is as important as where you can. Question 3. What's your real commute tolerance? And I mean specific. No, I don't mind the train, specific 2 days a week in Sydney on the 7:15 from Thirroul, 3 days from Wollongong CBD by car, fully remote and flexibility doesn't matter. This question cuts shortlist significantly and it tends to open up suburbs that weren't on the radar. Question 4. Are you buying to stay or buying to upgrade? First or second property, 5-year horizon or 15. If you're planning to upgrade in 5 to 7 years, the suburb's growth trajectory matters more than its current lifestyle score. If this is a long-term home, lifestyle and livability takes precedence. Run those 4 questions and here's roughly where people land. Lifestyle first with flexibility on commuters. Thirroul, Ostomy, Coldale, Scarborough. Tight stock, premium pricing, genuine lifestyle. Expect to compete for the right property and expect to pay for it. But what you get when you get it is hard to replicate. Access first buyers. Access buyers who need regular Sydney connection, Northern Fringe, Helensburgh, Otford, and the Waterfall Corridor. These suburbs are consistently underpriced relative to what you're getting. Buyers who need to be in Sydney 2 or 3 times a week often overlook them because the name doesn't carry the same weight. The train times do. Value buyers optimizing for land and long-term upside. So Corrimal, Dapto, Fairy Meadow, Unanderra. Corrimal especially, and I've done a separate video on this, carries a meaningful discount to comparable pockets without sacrificing train access or block size. The gap is narrowing, but it's still real. Families balancing schools. So families balancing schools, space and budget. Fig Tree, Kirraville, Mount Ousley. These don't make many best suburbs in the Illawarra list, but they sit between the CBD and the escarpment and offer genuine land. They sit in strong school catchments and are consistently in demand from buyers who know the area well. So worth looking closely. Every suburb on that list involves a real trade-off. There is no option that has the patrol beach, the direct train, the 600 square meter block, and the sub-million price point. If there were, you wouldn't be watching this video. Everyone would already be there. What a good framework does is help you make that trade-off deliberately, instead of discovering it after you've made a huge offer. or after you've been searching for 6 months and you're not sure whether it felt right. The buyers who move fastest and feel most confident are the ones who've resolved the hard questions before they start inspecting, not during. If you're in the early stages of figuring out where to buy in the Illawarra and you want to think through those 4 questions for your specific situation, drop a comment below. I do this kind of suburb mapping with clients before we even get started in any search. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. There are also suburb breakdown videos on this channel for Corrimal, Osterman, and Thirroul. If you want to go deeper in any of those, subscribe for weekly Illawarra property content, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.